Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show of shows with your greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host, Avi Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at www.ntnm.org. We are on Thursday, 7:30 in Chicago, CAN-TV 19, Friday at 2:30, CAN-TV 19. We're on Mondays at 6 o'clock in either channel 19, 35, or 99 on AT&T systems in the north and northwest suburbs. And of course, all shows are on YouTube over the last 10 years. I think we're around 360,000 shows watched. Thank you very much. To give you an idea how raw I like to do this show, I have never actually met this guy before. And we've only spoke. He approached me through Facebook. Facebook is a very good place to approach me. And for being this young, he's really kind of distinguished himself at an early age. And I am going to let him give you his resume up front and tell you who he is. And then we'll get into some questions and answers. Benjamin Gerstein, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Go ahead, please.
So just to give a little bit of background, my name is Benjamin Gerstein. I'm a rising senior at Deerfield High School. I'm actually graduating pretty shortly, and I'll be headed to University of Michigan next year. And
good school.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It should be a very good time. But my passion is advocating for Israel, and actually University of Michigan is a tough place to do that. And basically my resume is I created an organization called Deerfield Students for Israel in my high school, which really aimed to equip public school kids who don't have that much knowledge about Israel but who are Jewish or whose parents are pro-Israel, and they get that from their parents, to sort of learn when they get to campus how to handle sort of some of the tough accusations that they're going to be faced with and that anti-Israel activity that's so vibrant on college campuses today. And I've sort of done that through several things, through the organization. I've written for the Huffington Post, Jerusalem Post, and for the Times of Israel.
Cool.
Various pieces on, areas of the conflict like settlements, like the Operation Protective Edge in 2014, like the Netanyahu government, the relationship between the Israeli government and the United States government, sort of trying to cover all areas of Israeli politics and its relationship with the United States. And I've also written extensively and talked actually at an event with Congressman Dole last year about ways to defeat BDS and how it's sort of a new front in anti-Israel activity that the world is sort of seeing today.
Yeah, that's definitely a big, big problem that a lot of people are on. But do you see any real reason for BDS, or is it stupidity? Is it hatred of Jews? I mean, I know that's asking you a lot.
Yeah, I think the BDS movement likes to frame itself as a movement that's about peace and that's about human rights, and they really prey on, the social justice movement and saying, look, the Palestinians are an oppressed people, join our cause, feminists join our cause, Black Lives Matter join our cause, LGBT community join our cause. But really the BDS movement is a movement rooted in hate of the Jewish people in the state of Israel. If you look at the BDS's platform on its website, it mentions nothing about peace. The word peace, if you do a control search, there is not a single mention of peace on the entire website. I've done it several times. I try it about once a month, and they don't mention peace. What they mention is pretty much they hope that the state of Israel no longer exists, and they masquerade that by saying they're fighting a peaceful social justice movement. And while the way in which they're conducting themselves can be defined as peaceful because it's economic boycotts, what it really aims to do is isolate and delegitimize the Jewish right to self-determination, which in my dictionary is anti-Semitism.
I would agree, and not only that, but they have no idea how much they're hurting Palestinian Arabs in the West Bank.
Absolutely, yeah.
By boycotting that area, they are denying them jobs.
Definitely.
Number one, companies have had to close that were some of the best payers of good wages to, in full-time regular full-time jobs to Palestinians.
Absolutely.
And what really gets me is all this stuff is really coming from the left, like the LGBT community you mentioned. Try being LGBT in Saudi Arabia and see how far that
Yeah.
gets you.
Or even try being LGBT in the Gaza Strip
Yeah,
or in the West Bank. You know, Israel.
it's a good way to die.
Absolutely. Israel, I think the problem that the pro-Israel movement has, and what I sort of aim to try to tell people, is that we need to paint ourselves as having a bigger tent. We need to paint ourselves as, you know, a country in a movement. The Zionist movement can be painted as a progressive movement. It's a movement that guarantees equal rights for all. It's a movement that
Very much a progressive movement.
Absolutely. And it was, you know, Israel was a socialist country when it first began. So sort of being able to spread that narrative of Israel being an inclusive society is something that I've really tried to practice and tried to teach people to do, because I think, you know, the people who are in the social justice camp on college campuses are extremely misguided in their hatred of Israel.
Oh, that's a very nice way to put it. I hate to say it, this really goes back because way before my time. I mean, I remember when I remember visiting Circle one time, and the anti-Israel movement there was unbelievable, and this is in the late 60s.
Yeah. I think essentially what this hatred of Israel boils down to is it's just a series of misunderstandings. It all begins with the, you know, Palestinian refugee issue, which people just completely ignore the fact that that was caused by the Arab invasion of the state of Israel upon its independence. Mahmoud Abbas, in a quote, I believe in the early 2000s, fully admitted that the invasion by Syria, the invasion by Jordan, the invasion by all the neighboring Arab countries caused that refugee crisis. And on top of that, there's just lies and falsehoods and misunderstandings that have been continued to be labeled. Like, for example, I mean, until a couple weeks ago, Israel
You know, one thing I'll just, and I want you to pick up where you left off here. But people who were alive at the time that I was more familiar with, and even my mother, who was and my father, who were very up on the news in those days, when Israel was declared a state, Arab radio basically, and other various wings they had of spreading things, told their people, get out of Israel now, avoid destruction, and when we conquer them and destroy them, you come back and it's all yours.
Yeah, absolutely. And that ended up not working out, and the blame was placed on the Jewish people and the Jewish state, when in reality, as Chaim Weizmann said, we would take a blanket of land for peace, a blanket-sized portion of land for peace.
That's true, and it's been demonstrated so often it's not even funny. And the fact is, why should Israel all of a sudden let these people back in when they're pretty much show they're an enemy of a fragile state?
Absolutely. And, you know, when I talk to people about the two-state solution, and when they ask me if I support a two-state solution or not, I tell them it's based on time. And I think there should be a test for what type of people deserve a state and what type of people don't. And I think the Palestinian people, with rejecting constant peace deals, with their financing of terror, with their raising kids to hate people purely because of their religion, I don't think that people deserve a state at this point in time until we see a significant change in the Palestinian mentality and a significant change in the Palestinian leadership. I don't think they deserve a state at this point.
I'll go a step further. I don't think they deserve a state, period, because the kind of hatred that they've ingrained into their children
absolutely
is not going away.
And that's purely
soon.
what concerns me. I think there's an entirely new generation beyond Mahmoud Abbas when he eventually passes, and there's new leadership that's going to be even more, you know, pro-violence against Israelis, I think.
Not to mention the fact that Israel has offered them virtually everything they've wanted, over 98% of what they wanted.
Oh my God, yeah.
In peace negotiations. And negotiations aren't 100% my way and 0% your way. I mean, when Israel's going to care so much about peace that they're willing to go to the lengths to give them virtually everything they want, you can't ask for much more.
Yeah, the international community has this unrealistic expectation that 100% of the secessions for peace are going to have to be Israeli secessions. I think, you know, the international community is pressuring the wrong side of the conflict to come to the table. Israel's always been willing to come to the table since 1948. The Palestinians have not been.
Let me ask you this, because I'm not, you know, it's still too early to tell, but I'm a little worried. You know, Trump, one of the reasons I did not vote for either presidential. I voted for John Kasich, I'll be honest. I'm a moderate kind of guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I don't understand, you know, I really have trouble understanding why Trump, I don't know what he's doing right now. He's in Israel actually today as we speak.
Yeah.
And you know, it seems, you know, well, I guess one thing I will say, answering my own question in part, then I'd like to hear your take, is that you never believe what not just Trump, but what any candidate ever says or a politician.
Absolutely.
You believe in what they do. I mean,
agree.
when they do something, then you know.
Yeah, I think with Trump, I think it's going to be throughout his entire tenure as president, especially with, you know, the Israel issue. I think it's going to be something that's on and off. I was extremely encouraged by the appointment of Nikki Haley to UN ambassador. She's truly an excellent job. I was at the APAC conference, and I've never seen anyone get as much of an ovation by a pro-Israel crowd as she has, and I think she's really doing a spectacular job at the United Nations, which is an absolute needed change after Samantha Power's betrayal in December when they abstained from the resolution. Yes. I think what concerns me with Trump is just the inconsistency and the promises and the fact that with him on any issue, you know, you're going to wake up the next morning, you're not going to know what he's going to be thinking or doing. And some of the concern that I've heard from the pro-Israel camp is that if he presents a deal and Netanyahu doesn't think it's good enough and Netanyahu rejects it, Trump is going to take that personally, and then there'll be backlash against Israel. So that's my main concern with the administration, is that he's going to let his ego get in the way of what's sensible and what's safe for Israel.
That makes a lot of sense, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. I think when you're dealing with a character like him, you really don't know what you're going to get, and it's going to be a tough situation. I'm optimistic. I like the fact that he visited the Western Wall. I think that's a really strong sign showing that Jerusalem is the capital of the Jewish people and will always be.
First president to do that.
First sitting president, absolutely. I think that's an extremely strong message. I think the visit to Israel went very well, and I'm hoping that that continues. I can only hope.
No, that would be nice. Who was the last president before this to go to Israel?
President Obama go as president? I know he went on the campaign trail. I don't think he visited for the Perez funeral, but I don't think he did an official state visit, right?
No, not an official state visit. As a matter of fact, I don't know if this is true or not. I just happened to see a flash headline on the news, but they actually claimed Nixon.
Really?
And that kind of surprised me. I'm not sure that that's really real.
Yeah.
But that would be interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think, I hope it's a trend that we see more down the line of future presidents. I like the image of visiting the wall, showing the international community that Jerusalem is the eternal Jewish capital. I think that was a very strong image he showed. And I think what's really also encouraging is look where Trump went before he went to Israel. He went to Saudi Arabia, and you see warming up relations between Saudi Arabia and Israel and some of those, you know, moderate Arab countries on foreign policy. You know,
that actually makes sense in so many ways because they have so much they can offer each other economically and
even with intelligence against Iran. You know, Saudi Arabia and Israel have a common enemy in Iran, and what they both don't want is a nuclear Iran. And I think the nuclear deal, what that did was it brought them significantly closer together. Yeah. I think that's a very important fact to recognize, and hopefully Trump can help bridge the gap between some of these moderate Sunni nations in the state of Israel. Absolutely.
No question about it. So what's your major at the University of Michigan?
So I'm hoping to be majoring, I'm going to do a double major in economics and international studies with a focus in sort of security and cooperation, sort of trying to understand, specifically in the Middle East and North Africa, the roots of all the conflicts, so I can gain a better understanding of what, you know, the neighbors of Israel look like and what their cultures are and what their identities are and what, you know, hopefully, what types of moves they can make, hopefully, to ensure peace in the future.
Plus, you'll have some seriously good sports to follow if you're a
Absolutely,
sportsman.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm very excited about that, too. Yes, well, thank you so much for having me.
First of all, it's my pleasure. And first of all, if people would like to contact you.
So I actually started my own website where I basically base all of my writing out of now. It's bgerstein.com, BGERSTEIN.com. And on that website, you can find all of my writing and some footage of speeches and remarks I've given. This will obviously be posted
it's good stuff,
on that website. So I'm hoping just to sort of introduce a, you know, fresher and younger perspective on issues surrounding Israel and the Jewish people that people don't really, you know, get to see or hear that much. So you can check out that website. I post content on there. I try to weekly. I for sure do every other week. So please give it a look. I love getting feedback. My emails post on there. You are able to comment and share every article, so I greatly appreciate it.
And you're also on Facebook.
Yes, absolutely. I'm also on Facebook and on Twitter.
I want to thank you very much, Benjamin Gerstein, for gracing us today.
Thank you.
And I want to wish you good luck in your education and your efforts for Israel.
Thank you.
And all good things.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. Thank you.